Hi, this is Trisha from Lemon Paper Lab. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate one of my pattern starter templates that I used to create this pattern. This template will be available to download in my Patreon page. I also have this template and more in my Ultimate Pattern Maker Toolkit for Photoshop, which includes all of my Photoshop templates and actions to help improve your workflow when designing in Photoshop. And I will leave a link in the description below to both my Patreon page and this toolkit. The template I will be showing you today is my template 2, and it is designed in a 4:3 ratio. The size is 7200 pixels by 5400 pixels. Included with this template will be an action called Define for Patterns that I will demonstrate, and it will help us save the patterns associated with this template. So here in the layers panel, you'll see that we have 4 different artboards. We have our object, smart object, that we are going to edit here. And then you'll see that there is a template folder that contains our repeated elements. So let's go ahead and double click on that smart object here. So in the layers panel, we have just our placeholder layer here, which you can turn off the visibility. And then we have 2 reference layers. We have a diamond one or this more curved shape one. So let's go ahead and start with this one. And I'm going to use the brush tool. I'm using just a basic hard round brush for the settings here. I've got my smoothing up to 100%. What you'll notice is it just helps you create smoother lines versus when you bring it all the way down, it's more jagged or less, it's harder to create smoother lines. So I like to have smoothing set up to 100% here. So we'll go ahead and create a new layer and delete that one there. So this reference just acts as a guide if you want separation between the elements. That just gives you a reference and a guideline to go off of. So I'm just going to draw a rough design here with my brush. Just following the curve area here. We'll just create just a random shape here. Just very organic. We'll see how that looks. So I'm going to turn off that reference layer here. We'll go ahead and save this smart object, Command or Control S. And then we'll jump back over into our template, and we can see that we have 4 variations. They are rotated in different ways. With some of my templates, when it's just one artboard, I like to use the pattern preview tool. But when you use multiple artboards, you cannot use the pattern preview tool in this mode here. And so we are going to use an action to save these patterns so we can see how they repeat. Included with my templates is I have an action define for patterns. And to load an action into Photoshop, you'll just bring up your actions panel. To find it, you can go to Window, selecting Actions here. And then you'll just want to click on this menu icon here, and then you'll want to click on Load Actions, and then just select the action file and bring it here into Photoshop. Currently, I have a bunch of actions here, so the one you are looking at here is this Define for Patterns. And so I'm just going to click on the actions here, and then it will run through, and what we'll notice here in my patterns panel is that it has automatically saved my 4 patterns. So now I'm going to bring up a new document. So let's go ahead. So we'll go File, New. These artboards are designed with a width of 7200 pixels. for large scale designs, but I'm going to use 3600 pixels by 3600 pixels, which is the typical size of digital scrapbook paper at 300 pixels per inch. So we'll click on create here, zooming out, command or control with the minus key just so I can see more of my canvas. So we'll go ahead and test this pattern, and I'm going to use one of my actions here called pattern test, and this is available to download within my Patreon page as well. So we'll click on this pattern fill layer, and let's go ahead and select our pattern. We will need to size it down, so let's go ahead and try 20% here so we can see our repeats. And then let's go ahead and give it some color. So we'll click on this color fill layer, and I'm just going to select from just some colors I have saved here. Let's go ahead and try teal, and then we'll select maybe a lighter color here. And then maybe we bring our scale down even more so we can see more of it here. And we have our pattern. And then we can also test the other variations where we get, where in this case it changed the horizontal reflection of it. We have a vertical change, and then we have both a vertical and a horizontal change. So looking at this pattern, this was just a rough demonstration, but critiquing my own pattern here, it doesn't give it enough spacing. So I definitely will keep that in mind as I create again. So let's go ahead and jump back into our original, and then let's try our another reference layer. We'll create a new layer here. We'll still use the brush tool here, and then I'm just going to hit default just because I like to work with black with my patterns. And then I'm just going to use this basic shape. We'll create another just kind of organic looking pattern, just staying within that kind of shape of our design. Okay, so we have this organic shape here. And I'm going to actually scale it down a little bit just so we don't run into that same issue. And I'm going to use a action for that. We have our scale down 10%, which you can find with my Photoshop actions for pattern design, which are also included in my Patreon page. Let's go ahead and turn off this reference layer, and then we'll save this Command or Control S. We'll jump back into our template here, and then we will play that action to find 4 patterns. We'll jump into our test document here, and then we can see how our new pattern looks. Maybe we choose a different color palette here. And then we can test out our different versions. I always really like this where it flips it horizontally, but it's fun to see the different options here as well. So this is a fun template to try out. You can even try it with a more defined shape versus the organics. Maybe we try one of Photoshop's built-in ones. So right now I'm looking at the legacy shapes and more all legacy default shapes. And let's try some of the nature. Let's just try one of their flowers here. We'll just get our guide here, holding the space bar. And then I'm going to change my fill to black, and then we'll bring that stroke to no stroke here. Turning off that reference layer. Let's see how it does with the this shape here. And then we'll save it here. We'll define our 4 patterns. See them saved in our patterns panel, and then we will test it out here. Selecting our flower. Try a new color just for fun. Let's try purple. So we have our fun flower shape here, and then we can see the different variations here as well. So I hope you enjoy using this template as a starting point for your pattern. Again, this template is available for download in my Patreon page along with my Photoshop Actions for Pattern Design. You can also get this template and additional scales for this template and more template options in my Ultimate Pattern Maker Toolkit, which also includes all of my Photoshop actions and templates to help improve your workflow when working and designing in Photoshop. And I will leave a link to both my Patreon page and the toolkit in the description below. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment below. This is Trisha from Lemon Paper Lab. See you next time.